more steadily regular DM chats with me. It's been a while since we've done a deep dive into any sort of class, so I thought we'd get back into it. So without delay, we're doing fighters today. Nah, I rhymed.
Tish.
I didn't mean to, but I did. So yeah, fighters. We are going over your... Sorry, thought there was a bug. It's probably just cat fur. We're going over fighters. So they are your very basic martial class. They are your sword and shield, your, they can pretty much be any weapon you really want them to be. And we'll go into that a little bit as far as, like, fighting style and things like that. Excuse me. So the best, for fighters, you have a selection of a variety of different stats that you can stat to take out as your main two. They suggest, of course, dex or strength. And the reason you either want dex or strength is if you choose to go as an archery fighter, someone who uses long-range weapons, bows, crossbows, short bows, long bows, anything that is a projectile weapon, you will need to have a high dex. If you are going to be a sword wielder, maul wielder, scythe wielder, anything that involves poking other people with a bladed object, you are going to want to focus in on your strength. And then after that is con. However, if you are going to be taking the martial archetype of Eldritch Knight or Arcane Archer, you probably want to make your second stat intelligence. And there's a reason for that. So the fighter in particular is one of the weird ones that requires you to kind of know what you want to do prior to building a character, because it's not just dump it into, this thing and then dump it into that thing. So you really do have to think about your fighter. Each time we do go over, like, the best races that can accompany this particular class. So we've got your Mountain Dwarf, which is your best pokey fighter. They get your +2 con and +2 strength. You've also got your High Elf, which would be great for Eldritch Knight or your Arcane Archer, because they do have the dex and intellect. Your Half Orc would be probably your next best if you're just doing a pokey fighter, with the +2 strength and +1 con. You could do your Halfling Stout Halfling. They have a +2 dex and +1 con, so they could be a good archer fighter. After that is your Dragonborn. Why did I write Dragonblood?
I don't know. Why did you write Dragonblood?
I don't know. Dragonborn. They have a +2 to strength and a +2 to charisma, so you get that +2 strength, you'd have to do a lot of dumping into the con stat or intelligence if you really want to go that way. I'm not playing your character. Finally, after that, you could do gnomes. Gnomes are pretty good either which way. I think they have a base. I'm going to say they have a base con, and you can either do dex or strength, depending on what sub-race you take, I think. Or it could be the other way around. I don't remember. And then, of course, there's just humans. They get +1 to everything. So you can always do your humans. And, of course, with D&D 5e, you can build whatever character with whatever race you want. Those are just the ones that mathematically make a little bit more sense to give you a bonus, especially when you're doing, like, point-buy system. They give you a bonus already naturally built into that con, dex, strength, whatever you want. So the big thing with fighters, regardless of your archetype, is going to be what weapon style are you. So they have 6 weapon style, so you can choose from 5 fighting types, I should say. So you have your archery type. These are, of course, your fighters who specialize in crossbows, longbows. Yeah, I said crossbows. Mm-hmm. So anything that is a projectile weapon. I think with the archery fighting style, you get a bonus to damage if you use a projectile weapon. Your defensive fighting style is you get more AC if you wear armor. So it is something that protects you. So that is the defensive fighting style. You have your dueling fighting style, which is you get bonuses, I believe, to either damage or attack if you are using a one-handed weapon and a one-handed weapon only. So imagine your debonair swashbuckler with his rapier. Poke, poke.
How'd that go again?
I'm not doing that again.
Damn it.
It's okay, clips are a thing.
The internet has immortalized everything I have ever done in front of a camera. You have your great weapon fighter. So these are these are fighters who are going to specialize in two-handed weapons, particularly your mauls, your great swords. Let me think. Can't think of anything else. I think scythes are considered a great weapon. So anything with two hands that you have to wield. I think you get bonuses to damage, I believe. Then you have your protection fighting style, which is you protect others. So that is your sword and shield. However that goes. I'm not quite sure how I would hold it. I guess my left hand would be my shield. And I don't know the bonuses you get to that. I can't remember. But you get bonuses. And then there's your two-weapon fighting, which is main hand, offhand. So this is great for like short swords, daggers, your finesse weapons. And of course, these are going to define how you play. And I think each of them kind of give lean themselves a little bit into more of an archetype that you can choose that kind of fits that fighting style. So there are 6 different archetypes that you can choose from as a fighter. And well, before we get into that, so the biggest thing that you are going to see with all fighters, and probably the biggest thing that makes them a threat, is their action surge and their second wind. These are tie-overs from 4E, at least for me. I don't remember anything like that in 3.5. But action surges and second winds were a big thing in 4E. And I feel like they've taken them and just given them directly to the fighters, which makes them very, very powerful in a fight. So if you're not familiar with it, the second wind is a bonus action that you can take that grants you healing to yourself as just an automatic fuck you in battle. I think it's like a 1d10 plus your fighter level in healing automatically on a bonus. You can only use it...
Yeah, right there, bud.
Apparently my mother texted me. I'll have to figure out what that is.
You can only use it
Once a short or long rest. Something of a rest. I think it's
action surge.
Yeah,
Long rest.
No, short second wind.
Second wind. Pretty sure it's long. Pretty sure it's long rest.
Okay, so it's a rest of some kind. And then your action surge. That is a action that allows you to basically get an entire new action. Aside from movement, I think you get another action and a bonus action on top of whatever action, bonus actions, and movement you've already taken in a turn. So this gets really powerful for a higher level fighter. I think at 5th level, fighters get an additional attack on top of the one. So a fighter, say a great weapon fighter, can do a lot of damage if they do an action surge. They're wielding a weapon that does a D10 or D12 in damage, and they crit. Holy hell! So yeah, you as a fighter, you are a force to be reckoned with, especially with action surge and second wind on your side. So going into the archetypes, there are 6, like I said. 3 in the Player's Handbook and 3 in Xanthar's Guide. I feel like Xanthar's Guide is stretching a little bit with its archetypes. I feel like they're very specialized, and I don't know. I don't particularly care for them. I feel like the main 3 that come out of the Player's Handbook are better balanced and offer more to a player, I think, having read through them and just being like, if I were to pick, I would pick out of these 3, not these 3. But that's for you guys to decide. So the first and foremost that you have to choose from your archetype is the champion. The champions are designed to hit hard, do a lot of damage. And the reason why I say this is that the biggest thing that you take from a champion is that your criticals are extended. At 3rd level, you get improved critical. So you are either doing a critical damage at 19 or 20. That's big. Especially if you take, say, a fighting style of great weapon fighter. I think in and of itself, the math alone should tell you that is a very powerful combination. And then at 15th level, your critical is improved again from an 18, 19, or 20. Roll any of those 3 numbers, From 15 and on, you've just critted. So I think for the champion, that is the biggest thing to take away from that, is that your critical is your biggest weapon. It gives you a 3 out of 20 chance, which is like a 1 in... I'm not going to do math. You do the math. 3 out of 20 chance, which is better than a 1 in 20 chance. Certainly. Because that's math. So your next one is your Battle Master. So Battle Masters are more... They control... like the name suggests, they control the battlefield. They have what are called superiority die, which allow them to perform maneuvers that give either their enemies a disadvantage or some sort of hindrance, knocks them prone, pushes them back, or provides assistance to their allies, moving them into advantageous positions, granting them, bonuses to attacks, things like that. So that is what the Battle Master is meant to do, is they are meant to kind of be the general on the battlefield. For example, one of the maneuvers that you can take is the maneuvering attack. You spend a superiority die, which I think starts out as a D10 for Battle Masters. I think. I could be wrong. You add it to your attack, and then any ally who you can see or hear can then move half their speed as a reaction without provoking opportunity attack against the target that you just attacked. So let's say that you guys got into a weird position. Your ally isn't in a position where they can grant advantage or give you advantage. You can actually get them around or into a position where they can without taking opportunity attacks, or maybe getting them to another, person who they can hit better. That's what that does. But there are multiple other choices besides that one. That was just one example. The third and final choice out of the player's handbook is your Eldritch Knight. Now this is the one that requires you to have, to take intelligence as your second stat. And the reason why is because the Eldritch Knight combines martial and spells. So you have the ability to cast spells as well as be a threat on the battlefield. It's pretty much the long and short of it as an Eldritch Knight. You get spells from the wizard list. The only there is a caveat to it in that you have a limited number of spells, and they have to be abjuration or conjuration off the wizard spell list. And I think abjuration and conjuration are elemental based, very much attacks. They don't do a lot. I don't think I have to review my schools of magic. I don't think they do.
No, the first two you pick have to be abjuration and conjuration. Because Brigitte started out as an Eldritch Knight, and then after that you can pick anything else. But your first couple of spells that you have, you only got 3. So one has to be abjuration. 2 of them have to be abjuration, conjuration. The other one's like, fuck, whatever. It's whatever you want.
That's not how I read it, but
okay.
But either way, but yeah, and so yeah, that's why you need intelligence, to make sure that your spells, especially DCs or attacks, that's what your spells are based off of. Into the Xanthar's Guide. The first of the 3 is the Arcane Archer. This one is again this is your intelligence based. This one is specifically going to be Dex intelligence. It is someone who is an archer. All of their things are archer. So you're going to want to take the martial type, the fighting type of archer. You're going to want to take, make sure that you're, I think it is for only elves only. At least that's what it reads. I don't think there's actually a specific, it says that you cannot, but it does kind of read that you should be an elf.
Which one is it?
Arcane Archer. I don't think it actually specifies, but it just, the flavor text that it gives in the book, it does make it sound like it's more of an elven thing than anything else.
Yeah.
But either here nor there.
Would agree.
Hi, cat. Hi. To me, the Elven Archer feels like it's a combination of Battlemaster and the Eldritch Knight. And the reason I say that is because you have choices as far as like the magical shots that you can take. It's the trick shots. if you will, that infuse magic into the shots that you take, allowing you to, again, inflict some sort of, like, status effect on an enemy. Typically, it's mostly you're doing damage and far away, so you're inflicting a lot. You're not really, like, being like, hey, you, over there, go that way. But it's similar to that feel of the Battle Master as far as, like, picking your trick shots, having a limited number of those trick shots. And I think that's what kills me about the Arcane Archer. I feel it could be a lot more powerful. But starting out, and I think even getting into the higher levels, you don't have a lot or many. I think your food is here, Susie. There's someone looking very confused.
Probably. Keep going.
And he has Taco Bell.
Yep, keep going.
There's going to be a... Yep. Awkward. But yeah, I feel like the Arcane Archer is hindered a little bit because you don't have as many uses of your trick shot, which is what I'm going to call it. Even, I think, like I said, getting into higher levels. But they can do some really awesome things. So... and again, your intelligence is very important because the magic, the DCs and everything on your trick shots are based off that intelligence. And of course you want to have a high dex so that you can make sure that you hit shit with your bow and arrow. So, second choice out of Xanthar's Guide is the Cavalier. I feel it was very lackluster. They are mounted combat. And basically, everything that I took out is that you gain abilities that make it so that you're specialized and able to use a mount, but that's about it. There's nothing else that really sets it apart or gives you any more, like, real advantage in a battle. It's just that, like, I think the very first thing you get is that you can use 5 feet of movement to get on or off a horse or whatever your mount is without taking half your speed. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, I guess, but how does that help in battle? I mean, I guess when you're starting out in battle, you got to swing up into the saddle as you pull out your, whatever. Okay, but I don't know. I didn't particularly care for that class or that archetype. But yeah, there's really no other defining feature about it other than, hey, you have a horse. The third and final one is your samurai. And I really don't know how to describe it other than I think I wrote, the belief in your own perfection leads to your superiority in battle. It feels like a really cheesy tie into Asian culture. And a lot of the titles for things is like, your fighting spirit. I'm like, really? Well, like, one of the biggest ones, I think, is that you can basically give yourself advantage on an attack, and you can make yourself a little bit better equipped to deal with social situations, even if you're not a social character, because you are a samurai, and you are a very reserved character, so you would never, ever,
whatever,
base yourself, humiliate yourself among the peons. It's weird. But yeah, they have, I think one of the biggest things I took out of it and one of the more powerful things they get is one of the highest abilities you can take as a samurai, which I think is you get at 17 or 18. I think it's 17. You basically say, fuck you, I might have dropped to 0 HP, but I'm going to keep going for another round. And I think once you hit 0 HP, you basically, like, interrupt someone's attack and basically attack them again. And anything after that point, however, if you do get attacked, you do continue. It's an automatic death fail on your saving throws. And, of course, if you hit 3... but if you, of course, that gives your allies a chance to heal you, so you don't go down. You've basically just, probably waylaid into somebody and taken them down really, when they weren't expecting it. It is a relatively powerful ability, but like I said, I'm not really thrilled with the Xanthar's Guide. I know this is supposed to be like a deep dive into like the benefits of the classes, but I really didn't see a benefit out of the 3. They just kind of seemed like they were, oh, it sounds cool. Oh, the samurai. I'm like, really? You really didn't think this through.
Yeah, as someone who played an arcane archer, their trick shots are kind of, the limit on your trick shots are not fun.
I feel like especially with arcane archer, I think it could be a great class to play if you had more uses of your trick shot. Because I think starting out you get like 2 at level 3. And that's it, per long rest. Really? It's bullshit. But of course, as a DM, you can always, homebrew and do what you want with the rules because you're the DM. So, if you are like me and agree in that, you can probably be like, you know what? We can take that up to 5. But yeah. So the fighter, I think fighters, regardless of your play style or your veteran or newbie nature of playing a tabletop game, fighters are a really great class to start with because they can be so very basic. There's not, if you stick with champion, that would be a great class for a starter. It's roll a dice, hit things. There's no real magic to deal with. You don't have to worry about anything really fishy because magic can make it really weird. She's just smelling. I point this remote at you. But yeah, I think the champion would be a great starting class for newbies. Because it is something that's not quite as complicated, but it does introduce the mechanics of D&D very well. And having played a fighter, I think the simplicity allows you to kind of explore your character a little bit more, especially if you're a person who enjoys roleplay. And then, of course, 5e does introduce that you can take backgrounds to help kind of give you a direction of where your character is from. They recommend, I think, if you read through the player's handbook, the soldier background, and which makes a heck of a lot of sense as far as a good background to pick. I think you get additional proficiencies when you start out, and there's some other goodies that you can take on. But yeah. It really was. It was a mixed bag. Bye. So yeah. That's really all I have to say about the fighter.
That's all I have to say about that.
I think out of them, I think if I were to play a fighter, I would choose Battlemaster or Champion. Just because I think the Battlemaster would be a really great one to play, especially if you're someone who's very tactical minded. Like I said, there are several maneuvers in there that give you the ability to really, if you're tactically minded, it can really, really change the battlefield. When you start knocking people prone, when you start, inflicting restrictions on movement, when you're able to take your allies and move them around the field, just the one thing that really changed one of the biggest fights that I think I put out was when the group faced off against the cavalry in the Feywild. Jeff really got to shine because he was like, and you 5 move. It really changed the battlefield when you can do that and give your side big advantages. So I think the Battlemaster for someone tactically minded is a great class to pick up. If you're just wanting to slaughter people and just do as much damage as possible, highly suggest the Champion. Like I said, that crit extension is very sweet. And I can only imagine playing that as a great weapon fighter. I think it would just be beautiful. High level, rolling an 18. Yeah. So, but yeah. That's pretty my go. chat.
Look,
but yeah.
all three of us. Well, yeah, three of us. I was like, wait, no, two. Because on my screen, Andy and I are the same color, and I get confused.
You know, you can select a color to choose that you always are. If you go into your computer.
Hello, it's my computer.
Well, I mean, in the Twitch app under your like settings or whatever, you can select a color that you always are. Because I'm always blue on whatever screen I show up on, because reasons. But yeah, anyone have any questions about Fighter or D&D in general that I can attempt to answer? I have no idea what time. There's a clock right there. My God, I've gone 30 minutes. Really? Wow.
Shock and awe.
I didn't think I talked that much, but I did.
Welcome to my life.
And I feel like I talked fast, too. So. There's a purple person. Oh, hey, there you go. See,
me.
Look at you. Changing your color. Well,
We're so exciting.
I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said about Fighter. So, yeah, we're just gonna get on out of here. So if you are in the Atlanta area, please come and join us at Sewell Mill Library this Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be doing a live event, so you can come and meet us in person. Holy shit. And watch us play D&D. We're going to be playing a one-shot by R&W, Gremlins in the Workshop, and we're going to combine that with Dungeons and Doggos because it was so much fun when we played it the last time around. So it's Doggos Save Christmas. Christmas in July. We'll probably have silly hats. But yeah, come join us this Saturday, 11 a.m. Sewell Mill. The image that's been going around on social media has the address for the library, so plug it in your GPS, set an alarm, and come on down! And of course, we will be live streaming it as well, so for those of you who can't join us in person, please join us online in chat. We'd love to hang out with you. The last time we played one of R&W's one-shots, it was heckin' big fun. I'm going to have to get out of cursing for Saturday, because it's got to be PG-13. Oh boy!
We can only have one F-bomb.
Hey!
And it's the DMs.
But yeah, so that's our next stream, and then of course rolling into next week we'll have Video Game and Chill with Susie on Mondays, and then of course DM chats weekly Wednesday at 7. So join us, keep watch on social media, and like, follow, and share. We love you guys so much, and we'll hopefully see you Saturday.